Hello. So as always, I'm setting the intention with this video before I make it and before I post it that this video come across the path of somebody who needs to hear it, somebody who can get something out of it. So if you found this video, odds are that could be you. So thanks for being here today. I want to talk about a concept I've talked a little bit about on my channel, but I want to go even deeper into it today. And what I want to talk about is just like our role, our job in the universe, and how like I feel like doing our own inner work is really what we are meant to do here. It's how we make the world a better place. It's how we give ourselves the best experience in this lifetime on this planet. And yeah, I just think it's really important. So the concept that I've talked about a couple times is just the idea of how beautiful it is when we okay, let me start that over. So I was thinking about the idea of like our microbiome, our gut health, how that's like such a big, a very popular thing these days, and for reason. I think that the universe brings these things into popularity for a reason, and a lot of people are interested in it as well as inner work right now, which I don't think is a coincidence. And I think that it's just such a beautiful concept to think about the fact like how microbiome exchanges happen, how we exist in a space, we touch a surface or whatever, and we leave behind pieces of our inner ecosystem, those microbes that exist inside us, and when other people come into those spaces or touch those surfaces, they have, there's a microbiome exchange, and they are able to pick up pieces of that. And I feel like it's such a beautiful, amazing, like exciting concept to think about the fact that like if you nurture your inner ecosystem and you are at like your best health, you can literally leave behind a trail of health and prosperity and longevity everywhere you go, and you can share that with everyone you love, everyone around you. That is just such a lovely, lovely concept. I love sitting with that and thinking about that. And then I was also thinking about how the opposite is also true. If you have an imbalanced system, then you are also, sharing that imbalance. And that impacts different people differently depending on how, like, what their inner ecosystem, their microbiome looks like, what they're lacking, what they have overflow of, what like their personal imbalance. So, it would impact everybody differently. But it's also, it's equally interesting to think about the fact that if we are not at our best, then we can leave the people that we come into contact with, or even the people who are in spaces after us, we can leave that, like, help them become more susceptible to things like disease or depression. And also I was thinking about the fact that that kind of goes into our emotional state as well. So if we are imbalanced, or if we are carrying things like hate or anger or shame or judgment in our hearts, and we allow those things to see or impact the way we see the world, or the way we see ourselves, the way we interact with the world, the way we move through the world, then we are, leaving little pieces of that behind everywhere we go. No matter how you're living your life or what you're doing, if you haven't balanced yourself out on the inside, then that's, granted, probably unintentionally, but that is what you are doing when you move through the world. And that's why I feel like inner work is just so important. It's just such a big part of the human experience. I feel like it kind of like is like it's a big part of the human experience. And there's a lot of other things that go into the human experience as well. And I just think it's just like such a cool concept that like all we have to do is take care of ourselves. Like all you have to do is make yourself the happiest, healthiest, most authentic version of you. And you are literally making the world a better place just by walking around and existing in it, which is insane. It's awesome. I love that. And I think that that's what we're here to do. We're here to live in our authenticity and to be healthy and happy, and each individual has like its own role to play but you can really only play that when you're in your full authenticity, and that requires you to be healthy and happy. So both physical and emotional health are such a huge piece of that. And today I want to focus on some inner work, some things that we can do to start taking steps to release some of those negative emotions, or not release, but release if you're carrying them in your heart, and moving through the world in a way that spreads those things. So, one sec. I want to reiterate that, or I don't know if I even said it yet, that when I say, like, when I'm talking about releasing these negative emotions, I'm not saying deny them. I'm not saying suppress them or avoid them, or don't, try not to experience them. Like, our emotions are there for a reason. All of these things that we're going to talk about are important parts of the human experience, and we are supposed to feel them. We're supposed to experience them. We're supposed to move through them, though, and not carry them with us in our heart. And again, by carrying it in your heart, I mean allowing it to shape the way you see the world, allowing it to become part of your personality or your identity, or allowing it to shape how you interact with people, how you treat the people around you, how you treat yourself. And yeah, so the first one I want to talk about today is fear. And I'm going to say again, I'm not like an expert on anything. I have just done some of this work and found some of these things helpful. And I have been feeling really called to sharing what I've done and what has been helpful for me. So I'm just hoping that maybe somebody else can find these things helpful. So the first one that I want to talk about is fear, because there's so much fear in the world right now, and for good reason. We all know that fear is such an important, like, it's part of human development. It's there for a reason. We get afraid of things because there is danger, and fear keeps us safe, and that is so valid. All of these feelings are valid. But there's a different type of fear, fear of, like, I'm not going to go walk right next to a cliff and balance on one foot, try to hop on one foot when I'm right on the edge of a cliff. That's fear, because that's just, that's not safe. And all fear has to do with, like, wanting to be safe, even socially. But there's I feel like a lot of fear these days, like, socially, politically, just between human beings. Between people, it has to do with distrust, and that means that the antidote to that is trust. And I'm not saying, like, don't lock your doors at night anymore, like, use your discernment when I talk about these things, but I'm saying that there is, we can start looking at our lives, at the decisions that we make, and see where distrust has caused us to miss out on things, or to judge people around us that we don't know. And you can just ask yourself every day, where can you let trust in a little bit more, where fear has been holding space in your heart. And I think even small steps can make a big difference. Trust it's a hard concept, especially in the climate right now, the culture that we're living in. But there's a lot of different types of trust that you can have. You can have, for me personally, like, what helped me, that might, like, be the easiest way to talk about this, is just to tell you about my experience with it. So when, like, my height of distrust or of fear was definitely right after I had my daughter, for probably, like, the first year postpartum. I remember I used to sit in my daughter's room, rocking her to bed, and I'd be sitting in a completely pitch black room, sitting in this chair, holding my teeny tiny little baby, and, like, all that would flash in my mind would be pictures of the world falling into chaos, and just me having to protect her and not being able to. And I know there's like a biological reason for that. Mothers have those things because we want to be able to predict anything that might happen and, you know, protect ourselves and our child. But it really started to impact the way that I viewed the world. Everything was unsafe. I didn't want to do anything. I didn't want her to do anything. I was just not allowing myself or her to live free and authentic and be happy. So the way that I got over that was to just dig deep and every day work on trusting that there's more good in the world than there is bad, even though the bad is so highlighted for us all the time, every day on the news, on social media, in the newspaper, like anywhere you look, the bad is always highlighted. But the truth is that there is just so much good. And I wholeheartedly believe that people are just inherently good. I don't even know. I mean, I don't want to get into all this whole thing, but I just don't think that there even are bad people. There's lost people, and I'm sure some people, you know, people do bad things. People do awful, horrible, evil things, acting out of their shadows. So if we all do this inner work, there will be a lot less of that. But it's got to start somewhere. We have to start trusting each other, which is, again, a big ask. But there's also another kind of trust. There's trust in something bigger than us, something that, you know, can see the bigger picture, whether you believe in God, spirit, source, the universe, any sort of higher power. There's trust that the other kind of trust that I have found is that I just know that when I am in touch with my intuition, I am living authentically. I know that I will always be taken care of. I know that I am always where I'm meant to be and that everything's going to be okay. It's going to be as it was meant to be. Even if that means that I die in a car crash tomorrow, then, you know, that's that. And I'm not going to let that rule my life. That's how it was meant to be then. So whether you have trust in yourself, in the people around you, in the greater good, or in a higher power, find something that you can trust, something that you can start and challenge yourself. If there's things that you can't trust, work on that. See where you can start letting trust in where fear lives right now. And I promise you, your life will be better and you will be happier and the world will also be a better place. Win, win, win. Okay. I have notes because I wanted to make sure I got everything. Yeah, that's everything that I had to say about fear. So the next one I want to talk about is shame, because that is also a very big one. Shame is so powerful. It's crazy how powerful shame is. It's like, it's something that can live within us. And I think it's one that more than anything else we're going to talk about today that can shape people, how they act, how they behave, how they see themselves, how they see the world, how they move through the world. Like it is a really, really powerful one. And it is a really, really hard one to break. But the antidote to shame, and this is going to sound cheesy, but it's so true, is just pure love. It's love. Love for yourself, love for other people, just showing pure love. And as human beings, we are made to love. We are created with love. We are made to love. And so it can feel difficult at first, but when you are being loving to yourself and to others, you are in your most natural state. That is what we are born to do, what we are meant to do. So give yourself grace. If you find yourself acting out of shame, even if you have a hard time tracing like your behaviors and like how they can be rooted in shame, even if you just find yourself thinking about things that embarrass you, things that you've done in the past, or anything that embarrasses you, just give yourself grace, love yourself, and remind yourself that you're just a person in this world. You're doing your best, just like the rest of us. You know, we live, we learn. We aren't always perfect all the time. No one's the coolest all the time. No one makes the best decision every single time they make a choice. Like, it happens. But give yourself grace, love yourself, and, you know, show yourself the same the same gentleness that you would to other people. And if you aren't showing it to other people, then show it to other people too. There's no need for judgment. We're all here out here just trying to live, and Lord knows it's not always the easiest thing to do. So, you know, release judgment for yourself and judgment for others. A mantra that you can say to yourself if embarrassing thoughts come up in your head, or you notice yourself making a decision based out of fear of shame or just shame in general. Remind yourself that you are innocent. You are just an innocent human being in this world doing your best. And I wrote it down. It says, I am innocent. I'm just a person doing their best. I'm deserving of all of the infinite love that the universe has to offer me, and I love myself. Just say it to yourself. Even if you don't believe it in the moment, say things like that to yourself over and over and over again. And every single time you have, you know, your shame triggers thoughts or triggers actions, just stop, breathe, and remind yourself that you are so deserving of all of the love in the world from yourself and from others. Yeah, so that's everything I have on shame. And where are we going from here? Yeah, the last one I want to talk about today is anger, which is a tough one. And there's a lot of it out there today. It's a really, really hard one to sit with and to deal with. But there's different types of anger, I get, or different places where anger comes from. Yoga teaches us that the root of all anger is expectation. And that's something that I found really, really helpful to help me untangle my own inner anger when I was working on this process myself. I found it's hard. It doesn't make it any easier, but it's helpful to think about expectations and how they impact us. So like if you are, let's say you're driving to work and somebody cuts you off and that makes you angry. That's anger. But like, so what would that, you know, that's a valid reason to be angry. Again, all of these things are, we feel these feelings. They're all valid. We're not denying them. We are just not carrying them with us through the day or in our hearts, through our lives. So what would the expectation be there? The expectation that anger would be rooted in is that you're going to drive on the road and nobody is ever going to cut you off, or everybody is always going to be the most respectful throughout the day or throughout their lives. Like that's just not a reasonable expectation. Like if you were to think about that, like if you woke up in the morning and said, okay, everybody is going to be super kind to me every day. Everyone's going to show me the most respect that I deserve. Like, you know, that other people are out here also acting through their shadows, and not everybody always makes the best decision. Like, what a crazy way to move through the world, to expect that you'll never be, you'll never be on the receiving end of a negative interaction. Like that is, I don't think anybody would rationally expect that. But when we get angry over those things and when we carry them with us through the day and through our lives, that is really what we are expecting. That's like the root of it, which is, you know, it makes it a little easier to let go of and to not be angry at those things when you're like, oh yeah, that's gonna happen. You know, that's life. And again, you should feel that anger, feel that feeling, and then let it go. Because really what you can recognize it is like, it's self-love. It's your inner knowing that you deserve to be treated better than that. But then you can let it go and know that it's just somebody else dealing with their own shadows, you know, their own inner work that needs to be done. Even when you do this work, sometimes, you know, you accidentally, or here and there, like, it's not like you're going to be perfect now. Stuff happens. And, you know, so same thing, if you have a coworker who's constantly disrespectful to you, like the expectation there would be, and I know it sounds crazy to be like, so I shouldn't expect people to treat me with respect. Yeah, I should. And I'm not saying that you shouldn't have standards for how you should be treated. I'm not saying that you should be okay with people treating you negatively or like disrespectfully. Don't be okay with it and don't allow it all the time, but don't be angry with it. Don't let that impact the way that you see yourself, the way that you see the world, or the way that you treat other people, the way that you move through it. You don't need to carry anger around with you because of the way other people are carrying anger around with them, or the way that other people act out their shadows. You are able, to overcome that and to just let it go and be the bigger person. Which is like, it takes a lot of practice. It's really hard. Yeah, it is really hard. But again, when you do it, your life will be better, you will be happier, and the world will be a better place. So why not get started? And I think, so the other type of anger that we see a lot of, I mean, there's lots of anger, but the other type of anger that I want to talk about that I see so much of in the world these days is anger with like the situation that you're in, with the way the world is, maybe like financial situations, maybe your job situation, or other things like that. So the best, I mean, the expectation there would be that things would be different than they are. And, we just know how things are. So that's a crazy expectation. Crazy is like maybe not the right word for it. It's not like a crazy expectation, but it's one that's not going to get you anywhere. So the antidote to that, I feel like, would be gratitude. Just finding the things, like if you feel like you're stuck in a job, or if you feel like you want to move, or you are just not happy with your life, finding things that you are happy with, no matter how big or small they are, if it's your health, if it's good friends, if it's a supportive partner, if it's, being like having a roof over your head of some sort, like any little things that you can find to be grateful for, and practicing gratitude over those things every single day is going to make you a happier, healthier person. I promise you. There have actually been studies, if I remember correctly, that show that people who take like 15 minutes a day to practice gratitude and just sit in gratitude are actually physically healthier. I believe it was that they produce more robust hemoglobin, which is insane. That's amazing that all you have to do is think about some things that you can be grateful for in your life, because we all have something to be grateful for, whether it's, this journey that you're on with your spirituality, whether it's, the sun coming out in the morning and the day being beautiful, or the air being fresh and there being a nice breeze. There is something every day that you can find to be grateful for, and that will be such a helpful tool to combat being angry at your situation or being sad about your situation. And I know it's easier said than done, but I promise you, if you start taking these steps, your life is going to be better, and you are going to make the world a better place around you, which is amazing. So yeah, those are my thoughts for today. I'll probably keep talking about this concept, but I would love to hear any thoughts anybody else has about this. And I love you all, and I hope you are having a great day, and I hope that this journey that we're all on together is, I hope you feel the community, you feel that you are not alone in this journey, and there are lots of people all over the world going through this process at the same time. So much love. Be well.